All right, guys, it's Grant Nelson again here with the Mustache Off-Grid YouTube channel. Just wanted to make a general talking video, kind of almost like podcast style, I guess, and just tell you guys about a couple different things I've dealt with out here off-grid and things that I think that someone should think about, you know, when they're going off-grid. So the first thing that I was going to talk about was dealing with the ticks out here. I'm in the Missouri Ozarks and close to the Arkansas line, and the ticks are crazy out here. If I went out in the woods and laid down, as far as it goes, I'd probably come back with 30 or 40 ticks, and certain times of the year you can easily get 100 ticks on you if you're not careful. And the first time I moved out here, first time I came out here on the property, I was on my way back from Arizona with Bailey, and we camped out here for one day in a tent, and the grass was 3 foot tall and nothing was out here yet. It was all just raw land. There wasn't a building or anything like that, no well. And we each had about 100 plus ticks on us, and I kind of realized at that point that I needed to take that seriously. So that's one thing to consider if you are planning on going off-grid in the Ozarks. Dealing with ticks, there's probably a lot of other areas that have the same issue. But a couple things I do to deal with that. One is keeping your grass cut. There's just less ticks when you keep your grass cut. There's also some tick crystals you can buy, and if you put them down once a year, it'll greatly reduce the amount of ticks in your yard. They sell the bags at Walmart or different feed stores. Another thing that I use is, let me get it here, some permethrin spray like this. You can also get it at Walmart, but you can actually spray this in your clothes, and it kills and repels ticks. It's supposed to last for 6 weeks or 6 washes, so it's a good thing to spray down your boots with and stuff like that. As well as another thing that I do, having a mirror, and whenever you get back from the woods or somewhere that, you know, it doesn't have the grass cut or doesn't have the tick crystals down, or check yourself, you know, whenever you get back. Always kind of be on the lookout for ticks. So that's a couple things, couple tricks that I use to kind of keep the ticks down out here. There's always going to be some. You'll never be 100%, but that can greatly reduce the ticks. And the ticks can be pretty dangerous, actually, because they have a lot of diseases they can carry. Rickets comes from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever is the start of rickets. And another one that's big with the ticks is this one I've been hearing about called alpha-gal, and that scares me because you can't eat red meat if you get alpha-gal, or at least you get sick when you eat red meat. So that's one thing. If you are planning on going off-grid, you're going to have to be prepared to deal with the ticks. Buy some bulk. I buy this stuff in bulk, and I buy bug spray in bulk, and bug spray repels the ticks as well. This stuff also repels mosquitoes and chiggers as well. So just a couple tricks there with the ticks, couple pointers if you're planning on going off grid somewhere that's got a lot of them. Those are just some things you can do. Another thing that I deal with out here pest wise, I do get quite a few snakes. The farther south you go, the more snakes there is. Ironically, the first 2 years out here I didn't see any copperhead snakes. I never saw any, but just a week or two ago, I had one in the chicken coop, and I took care of that one. And then there was one that was in a big pile of metal T-posts, and I was actually reaching in the T-posts, getting them, doing some fencing, splitting my pasture in half, and there was a copperhead right in there. So anyway, you'll have to deal with copperheads and different snakes like that, and do what you got to do. But it's not as bad as you think. Like if you're walking, you're probably not going to see one, but if you're reaching, you know, into a hole, or you're going out somewhere just every once in a while you'll see a snake, so just be aware of it. I would say I probably see about 20 a year, 20 snakes a year of all different varieties. So I haven't seen any rattlesnakes, but I've heard a lot of stories, people saying that they're around and all that stuff. I hope I don't see any. I'd prefer to not have any around. um, the black snakes I've actually heard eat the copperheads, and usually when I see them I'm not too worried, but I had one in the pigeon coop last year, and it ate a few pigeon eggs and killed a couple little baby pigeons. So the black snakes can be a problem if you've got any type of bird. They like eggs, they eat eggs, and but they also eat copperheads and keep them away. So just something to consider there. I actually got had a little snake yesterday under my water tank, maybe that long, and it bit the tip of my shoe and then took off. I think it was either like a gardener or a racer snake, blue racer or something. But it didn't cause any problems, and I don't think it had any teeth anyway. But it just bit the tip of my shoe, and it startled me a little bit, and then it just got out of there. But anyway, yeah, snakes, one thing you'll have to deal with. One way to deal with them is whenever you're reaching under something, I generally poke around with a stick, and you kind of got to be hyper aware of it, just to be on the safe side. So yeah, that's just something you'll have to deal with. And I had never dealt with a lot of snakes, being from up in Illinois. So it's something that if you do move out somewhere rugged that has a lot of snakes, you'll just have to cross that path and deal with it accordingly. And you kind of gotta, I don't have fear of snakes, but if you do have fear of snakes, you kind of gotta just jump that hurdle. And the more of them you see, the less scared of them you are. And even like copperheads, I had a friend get bit on the foot by a copperhead. Wear closed-toe shoes can help, and boots and things like that if you're going somewhere that you think there might be copperhead. But generally speaking, the copperhead won't kill you. It's very rare that it's actually going to kill you, but it could damage your muscles and things like that if you get bit wrong way. Any shoes they generally can't bite through, but you know, if you want to buy snake boots or something like that, that's not a bad thing to have. Another thing I deal with out here is mice and things like that. A cat can help. There is one cat that comes around at night sometimes, but they'll get into your food and your feed for your animals and stuff like that. I use locking metal barrels with lids to keep them out. So that's something, you know, just a tip if you are trying to store animal feed with mice and things like that. Locking metal barrels is a good option if you keep your feed in locking metal barrels, or locking plastic barrels. Oh yeah, and I usually just keep this adjustable wrench right here to open and close it, tighten it up. So anyway, but that's a good way to keep mice and things like that out of your animal's feed, and really keep anything out of them. So that's a couple things. Everything's been going pretty good out here though. The garden's been doing good. The animals have been doing good. I figured I'd just talk a little bit about my kind of philosophy out here off grid a little bit. I try not to use very much electricity, and I try not to use gas myself as well. I don't have any public utility hookups, no electricity hookups, no sewage hookups, anything like that. I try to, I had one solar panel that I used to charge my phone and the GoPro and things like that, but I've actually got a couple more of them. They're RV solar panels. You can get them at Harbor Freight or different places, and they're actually pretty affordable. I think it was $100 some for 4 panels, and you just hook it right to a 12-volt marine battery, and you've got yourself power. I'll have to do a video on that sometime, but truthfully for me, I try to use as little electricity as possible. I don't the less electricity and electrical gizmos and gadgets I use, kind of the more free I feel out here. And I just don't want to use those things. They kind of keep you occupied like this, and the less of those things you're using, kind of the more in touch you feel with the Lord and nature and everything like that. And I just feel way more at peace the less electricity I have. I was going to talk about me using some gas powered things out here, the chainsaw, and I have a gas generator that I use for some power tools and things like that. But I want to get away from using gas eventually, but I figure that I should use it to build, and then every step and everything that I build is one step towards getting away from using gasoline and gas powered machinery. I talked about in my recent video cars and horses. You know, as far as it goes, I'd love to have a horse, but the car's just more affordable at the moment. And they actually have a little more power and things like that. But I wish I could just have a horse. But sometimes I got to travel to see my family and things like that, and it gets you to town a lot faster. But yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, if you can go off grid and you want to have a horse and you have the funds and the land and everything like that for it, go for it. You know, as far as it goes, but cars are just a lot cheaper option at the moment currently. But everything that I build and everything that I use gas for, to me, is one step in getting away from gas. And if you're doing something and you're using gas for it off grid and it's not a step in getting away from gasoline, you know, somewhere down the line, then, you know, that's fine as long as you enjoy it. But, you know, for me, I just want to get away from using everything in society. My goal out here is kind of to secede from society completely. With all the ridiculousness going on, politically, economically, everything like that. I kind of want to have my own little island out here almost. I mean, it's not an island, but I think of it, you know, almost completely separate, you know, completely secede from society and separate, and not be reliant on those systems that are in place. And, you know, I want to be able to close my gate at the street and just come back here and never have to come out. And I probably would come out just to see my friends and family and go to church and things like that. But as far as it goes, I want to be able to completely be separate from everything off my property. You know, that's kind of my goal. So far, I've felt so much more at peace since I came out here. I bought the land out here about 2 years ago. The land in the Ozarks is pretty affordable. It's went up double or triple the price, but comparatively to other places in the U.S., it's still fairly decent. I know recently there was like 5 acres I saw for $15K, and just a couple years ago that same land was like $8,000. You know, there's plenty of water out here. You can catch rainwater. You can drill a well. It's a little deep to drill a well. You know, it'll cost you probably 10 grand if you drill a well, but I've seen people run their whole homestead and farm just on rainwater catchment. So, you know, don't let that be a factor, you know, in not doing something if you can't get a well drilled or you don't have the funds to drill a well. So, anyway, yeah, I just want to completely separate from society, kind of have my own little off-grid oasis out here. Building it up from bare land. I started out here in a tent and slowly built things up. I stayed in that one storage shed I have over there for a while, and then eventually I had my shed cabin building delivered, and they said it was going to take 60 days, and it ended up being like 6 months for them to deliver it, so that was actually a hindrance. And had I known at the time about the rough cut lumber that the Amish do and stuff, I probably would have built my own. But I didn't know about that at the time, and wood prices are so crazy these days. Yeah, that's kind of part of it. I came out here, just started on bare land, camped out in a tent, and stayed in my car if it rained and things like that for the first year, and then got a cabin, you know, put in a wood stove, and have slowly built the land up out here. And I'm working towards building it, you know, making it more self-sufficient all the time. I don't use any air conditioning when I talk about not wanting to use electricity and things like that. I do it the old-fashioned way. I go in the shade. I kind of usually come out here to my camp area here in the woods where it's nice and cool. It's usually 10 degrees cooler in the woods, and drink water and just you know, try not to work too hard. I kind of work on and off on those days, and I'm just careful. But living with no air conditioning, to me, you know, to some it might be a hindrance, but I think it's good to sweat, and I think that it's kind of made our society a little bit weak. You know, we have this artificial environment we're in all the time, and as far as it goes, I've noticed that my body really adjusts well to the heat. I'm in pretty good shape. I run a lot and work out a lot, but um, I understand there's some people that are going to need air conditioning if they go off grid. But as far as it goes, you know, drink water, stay in the shade, and you know, sometimes I'll dump some water on my head, or you know, dunk in a nice cool tank of water, or go in the creek or something like that. But as far as it goes, my body adjusts. Even the way that I sleep, my sleep patterns, like if it's really hot, it was actually 100 the last 2 or 3 days here. I think it hit 103 2 days in a row. But one of the things to consider is air conditioning off grid. You know, do you need it? Do you have to have it? For me, I say no. I think that if you have air conditioning, you're going to be relying on the grid at some point. It's going to break or something like that. And I think it's, for me, I think it's a cost I don't want. I enjoy living without it. But when I was talking about my circadian rhythm, like when I sleep, like I'll end up sleeping at like 1 or 2, and you end up falling asleep when it's the coolest part of the night, and you know, waking up at the when it starts to warm up. Your body actually kind of sleeps and wakes up with the climate a little bit, which is interesting. It's kind of similar in the wintertime, like with when the sun goes down earlier. I tend to go to sleep, or you know, go to bed when the sun goes down and rise when the sun comes up. I don't really pay quite as much attention to the time. If you have to set an alarm for anything, really, you're not really free. And I do have to set it for a couple things like church and things like that. But other than that, you know, the way I look at it is the deer out in the woods. No one tells him when to wake up. He wakes up when he feels like waking up. And since I've been doing that, and I've been sleeping naturally and letting my body go to sleep when it wants and waking up when it wants, I've just felt so much better, so much healthier. So just something to think about. You know, we're unnaturally not letting our bodies adjust with the climate to sleep and wake when they want. And I think that we're the only animal that has to get up at a certain time, where we have to set an alarm and get up at a certain time. And you know, to me, I think that that's just the dumbest thing ever. But you know, I understand if you're living in the modern society why, but at the same time, every other animal is completely free to get up and go to bed when they want. So why can't we? You know? But anyway, I digress. That's about the end of the video. I just wanted to add that in there. I forgot to talk about living with no air conditioning. Just got to stay cool, stay in the shade, and drink a lot of water. And last June also was a good experience for me because it was 100 every single day in June. So I kind of learned to adapt to that. And basically you just relax on those days and read a book, drink some water, sit in the shade, and when it starts to get into the evening time and cool down, you can get some work done, or you can get some work done in the early morning. And if you don't get it done, you can get it done the next day. And if you don't feel like doing it the next day, then you can get it done 2 or 3 days down the line. I'm always working on different projects, and I'll put out videos on new ones all the time. So anyway, I hope that this gave some perspective on my off-grid philosophy, kind of how I feel about off-grid, what I want to do off-grid, how I want to use as little electricity and as little gas as possible. I will say, as far as electricity goes, if the first thing that you're worried about going off-grid is electricity, you know, think about that. You know, what do you need it for, and is it really making you happier, you know, what you're using it for? Or is it just, you know, really convenient? I understand there's some people that are going to need electricity and go with a huge couple $1,000 or more solar setup, you know, going off grid, and that's fine. But I'm not trying to be connected to the electrical grid and be connected online and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, as far as it goes, I hope that this video gave just a little bit of input on my ideas off grid, and hopefully some tips and tricks on the predators and copperheads and pests and some of the things like that. And I think I'm going to make an email for the off-grid YouTube channel, Mustache Off-Grid, as well. And I think once a week I'll answer kind of subscribers or viewers emails that they send me. So I'll post that link in one of my next upcoming videos here. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and God bless you. Sit. Sit. Come on, sit. Oh, good boy. Good boy. Lay down. Lay down. All right. Good boy. Hey, guys, let's make Bailey famous. Let's make Bailey famous. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mustache Off Grid. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and God bless. Let's make Bailey famous, guys.